What's up? This is Mark from Blink-182. We are in Warped Inside. Why don't you cruise on in and check it out. Our guitar tech was snowboarding one day, and his friend came in with snow all over his clothes, and he said, "Dude, you're totally wet. Take off your pants and jacket." And they were laughing, so they called us up and said, "Hey, we got an idea for the album title." Excuse me. And we loved it, and so we used it immediately. We've actually been really lucky. MCA really hasn't told us to not do anything. There's only been two things I can ever think of that they've asked us to take off a record because they were too gnarly. They were joke songs that were really, really gnarly. And I mean, after the new record where we released the 3 different versions with joke songs on each one, and they were way gnarlier than anything that anybody's really ever heard from us. So I don't know. I think that we've pretty much been able to do what we want, and people have respected that. You know, we know what we do, and you're not going to change us. I think labels are a lot more intelligent that way now. That I think in the past they've gone to people and say, you know, you need to write like popular songs, or you need to write a radio single, or you need to write whatever. And I think labels now I hope that they're smart enough to just let bands do what they do, and you know, that's their strength in the first place. We recorded this album actually exactly the same way we recorded Enema of the State. We went into a practice studio, wrote all the songs in 2 weeks, and then went back to the same studios we did last time and recorded the whole album in 3 months. And used the same producer, used the same mixer, same process. Actually, I don't know, this was probably the easiest record to write. Everyone kept saying, like, aren't you nervous? Aren't you, like, scared that you're not going to have the success that you had with Enema of the State? And, you know, I don't really care that much. I can't go into the studio and try and write an album that I think is going to sell more copies, because I just want to go in and write an album that I think is better. And if that translates into more sales, then that's rad. But if not, then whatever. I think that we all respect each other and we get along really well. I know a lot of bands that have issues with members not liking each other or getting along, but I think that we honestly all are good friends, and I think that we all love this style of music and love the music that we write. So I think that we'll be doing this for a long time, hopefully. The tour managers are the ones that always get the practical jokes. We always call down to the front desk. Well, actually, we'll call up our tour manager's room and say, this is the front desk, you have a fax down here, it looks like it's pretty urgent, you might want to come down and get it. Then while our tour manager's walking downstairs, we'll call down to the front desk and say, yeah, I'm the tour manager for Blink-182, I really think you're attractive, I want to try and pick you up, I'm going to come down and start talking with you, is there any way you can organize a fax for me? I'll just say, if it's you, I'll just come up and say, you know, I want a fax, is there a fax for me? So those are the kind of jokes we play on our tour manager.
Hey, this is Travis from Blink-182. We're in Warped Inside, so come check it out. Generally, everyone that ends up being a part of our group, whether you're like a lighting guy or like a monitor guy, you somehow fall into that kind of like retarded sense of humor. You know, you start to think things are funny that you normally don't think are funny, you know? And then our album title was thought of by our guitar tech, of all people, so that gives you an idea of how everyone in our little circle of friends thinks, you know, so it's just kind of like, I don't know, everyone finds pretty much the same thing funny, you know. I don't know, but when won't farts and ugly people being naked be funny? You know, it'll always be funny. I think it's timeless. MTV nor our label has ever done anything. We push the envelope with both, I think, really. You know, like, we'll purposely make up the most screwed up, like, most offensive songs and then play it to the label guys at the end of our recording, and just to see their reaction, and they let it go. They just go, whatever. I mean, we as a band and a label are in a bunch of trouble from, like, Congress, you know, mentioned us, and a bunch of bands that have foul language that shouldn't be distributed through kids or in major, you know, chains of stores. But our label's right there, like, behind us. Same with MTV. They've always been really good to us. I mean, and they've never told us, like, you gotta look a certain way or say this a certain way, you know. With this album, we wrote everything in like a matter of like 2.5 weeks, pretty much. Like, you know, just like we did Enema of the State, but we had a little bit of a head start before. So it was basically us writing in my studio in Riverside, not a nice, it's like a room this big. no one there, just the band. The record label doesn't come by, our producer doesn't come by, and then it was actually no time went into this record for me at all. I mean, I spent 2 days recording my drums, and then I was out. I was done. So we didn't really we never aimed for oh, this album's got to be more successful than the last one or anything else, because the last one we thought it'd be cool if it went platinum. So getting 6 times, 7 times platinum, that was we've already achieved everything we wanted to achieve. We just want to have a good time. It would just have to be being able to play music with your friends and get paid for it. You're getting to do what you love to do, and hang out with people you enjoy hanging out with, and then getting paid for it in return is even better. It's crazy. But yeah, we have a good life. Just being able to play music is awesome. I always mess with him. I'll mess with Mark. He's really paranoid. He's anal. He's kind of a woman in some ways, and he'll be in his hotel room, and I'll go and I'll bang on his door, hit his hard, really hard, and then I'll leave, I'll run, and then he calls Brian, our security, and they have to stand by the door all night, because he gets so paranoid or whatever, or I'll turn off their electricity, or I always mess with them, actually. They don't really play jokes on me, I don't know. I think that when I first got in the band, I got pantsed in an airport one time, and they had this guy stand on my shorts, so I couldn't pull my shorts up, but that was the only time I really got messed with.
We had an idea, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was obviously the one that won for the title, but we had an idea of putting a big bear on the cover and calling it Genital Ben. We thought that would be funny. I was partial to Vasectomy, Vasecto You, and then that led on to Colostomy, Colosto You, and a whole bunch of other ones. We also had the idea of epileptic proctologist, but that was hard to say. We did the 3 extra songs, not the joke songs. The 3 extra songs are different versions of the record. We did that specifically because we said, hey, let's make 3 versions of our record, because we want the kids that buy them to go home and share them with each other. We're not going to promote it. We're not going to market it. We don't want everyone going out and buying 3 versions. I mean, that'd be rad, but that's not what we want. We're not trying to rip off the kids, But the label really wanted to market, 3 versions, buy all 3 and all this stuff. And we were like, no, we're not going to do that. That's lame. And that's you're trying to suck money out of the kids. And we had these big arguments with that, and we had a fight to even do it. And we got our way. We said, you can't market, there's 3 versions of the record, and we want 3 versions so kids can share. We wanted something cool, and that's what punk bands do when they're smaller. NoFX did something that's very similar to that off their record called Punk and Drublic, and they had these different things on the CD version and the cassette version and the album version. It was really cool because all the fans get together, they call each other, and it creates a camaraderie amongst the fans, and that's what we're into. We've always done the same thing, making records. We've always told a label to leave us alone and just go in and do what we do best. And that's I think, at least for our band and our type of music, we have a really good meter of what sucks and we think sucks and what isn't. We want everything that we write to be as good as it can possibly be. And if it isn't anywhere near as good as we think it can, we just will throw the whole song away. And I think a lot of bands don't do that. A lot of bands go, I wrote a song, put it on the record, and it just becomes filler. And we're not like that. So we kind of just always do the same thing. We just write the best songs we can. And if songs are just if we get sick of hearing them over and over in the practice studio, then we won't even put it on the record. The best thing about our band, which is, I'm going to give you 2 things that are kind of not really the same, but one is that we are really good friends and we get along really well and we have a great line of communication. We don't fight. We're not assholes to each other, and we respect each other. We respect each other's privacy, and the best thing is just the communication, because we're all good friends. And we say, hey, I feel strongly about this because of this, and vice versa. And we actually can set goals and achieve them. And a lot of bands can't do that because they're too macho, or they're each in it for themselves, and they're just not friends, and they're in it for the wrong reasons. And the second thing is I feel that there's nothing in this world that we can't accomplish. I feel like with the 2 guys in my band, we can write any kind of music we want and will. And I think our best record is yet to come. And I think that we do our pop punk thing, but it's just growing and growing, and I don't think there's any end to what we can really accomplish as musicians. We've been pantsing people a lot lately. Mark actually went to Newfound Glory, this band opening for us, and the drummer was standing there talking to 3 girls, and he just pantsed them. He said he didn't mean to, but the underwear came down too. But I guess Cyrus just picked up his pants and just looked at him, just like, thanks, dude. Like, super bummed, like, not even laughing at all. And everyone's laughing, and Mark's like, dude, and like, he just walked away just feeling like an asshole, you know? And that's always funny, but pantsing people is always funny. The other day, the guitarist in Newfound fell asleep on my bus, and I woke him up with a bunch of hot mustard in his mouth. That's kind of funny, because when people sleep with their mouth open, like this, you just put a little mustard in there, and they wake up. It's kind of funny. I don't know. We do a lot of weird stuff. We have this guy that comes around and films for our internet website, and we're doing this big German photo shoot. And they have naked people in their magazine, so we told our friend, his name's Cheetah. We go, Cheetah, we'll pay you $600 if you get completely naked and do it for this photo shoot. And he's like, what's it for? I don't know. They'll put it in the magazine. He's all right. So he gets naked, and he's sitting there, and he's doing it, you know, penis everywhere, you know, and he's acting like he's surfing and stuff. So we take all of his clothes, and we throw it out, and we hide it from him. So he's running around, and we have our big Samoan gangster bodyguard grab him and throw him out in the street. He's bummed. And the whole time I grab his camera, and I videotape it, and I take the tape out of it, hand it to one of our other techs, and he goes and dubs it. Like, this is all within like 45 minutes. He comes back with 8 copies of this thing of him just naked in front of a camera. And to this day, he's still trying to find the tapes. We have them out already. We're trying to make a thing for our website. Go, this is the guy that does our website, and maybe put it on our video.